Well, you know what time it is? It's time for the victorious Trump train transition program. Listen, man, we pray. Look how different it is from a year or so ago. Year and a half ago, just remind you, Biden, inflation, open borders, Iran, saber rattling, nuclear war in the Middle East. Trump comes along, boom, economy back in, borders secure. Iran, boom, shut down. Peace over there in the Middle East. Deals all over the world. Snatch Maduro, grab all that oil. Listen, just remember that a year and a half ago, things were looking pretty dire. So let's be thankful, all right? Let's be thankful. I'm starting my day today with my anti-aging formula. You know, my friend Bobby, I did a little show the other week ago, and he came out. I've got this antioxidant, phytonutrient, phytochemical, got all the ingredients that I love for like 7 super, what do you call them? What are they called? Superfood supplements. But I do that every day, maybe even sometime in the afternoon. I want to challenge you to try to do the level 10 liquid. I'm serious. This is my own stash, my own level 10s, my idea. I'm telling you, man, you could take a teaspoon of that, a tablespoon rather. You could take it straight. Set me up, Joe. Boom, like a shot glass. That's what Annabelle does. Annabelle's like, I want to take it straight. I put it in water because I need to drink more water. Level 10 liquid, folks, level10liquid.com. You feel it when you take it. That's what I'm going to tell you. I love it. All right, so now I feel focused. I feel ready to do the show. Let's take a look at the where to start. I'll start off with the easy stuff first. Let's go to ICE. Play that video from Daily Wire. This is so trippy. Morning Wire. I watched this. I want you to see this.
This is an especially dangerous time to be an ICE agent with constant threats and attacks from anti-ICE activists who have, at least in part, been spun up by attacks from prominent politicians. Comparisons to Hitler's secret police stands out. This program keeps ICE agents out of highly visible places where attacks are more often to happen. Since Trump took office, Homeland Security has reported a 1,500% increase in assaults against ICE agents.
And that percentage keeps going up and up every month. Now, one of the growing trends in the anti-ICE movement appears to be popping up actually in high schools. What's going on there?
Right. Schools have become a significant source of anti-ICE protesters. According to the New York Times, student protests against ICE have happened now in more than 36 states, and often students are skipping class to participate. In states such as Texas, this has caused problems between school administrators and elected leaders who are skeptical that some of the adults in these schools aren't facilitating this behavior somehow.
Right, and this brings us to the new Daily Wire report showing that these schools may be directly involved in this anti-ICE indoctrination, correct?
Yeah, this was a story from the Daily Wire's Leif Lemahue. He obtained materials from an 8th grade geography class in Minnesota that taught that ICE agents use tricky and violent tactics. Those students were also awarded extra credit for watching a British-produced video on the problem of illegal immigration in the United States. We spoke to Erica Sanzi of Defending Education about what's going on in these classrooms. Here's what she said.
It is propaganda in the sense that it is a one-sided perspective, and this just happens to be a perspective that is going to paint the president and ICE in a very negative light. And I find it a huge leap to claim that a slideshow that is sort of this emotionally charged in a middle school classroom could be defended under the guise of geography, particularly at a time where the majority of students don't know the 50 states, don't know their capitals, can't name all the oceans, can't name all the continents, and yet somehow this sort of anti-ICE PowerPoint becomes a centerpiece of a lesson under the guise of current events.
So some pretty political material that could have a lot of parents concerned.
Yeah, and rightly. So, Tim, thanks for joining us.
Good to be on.
Hey, go back to that lady. Just go back to her. Is she in a closet? This is so sad. We have a spokesman talking about eighth graders that are being indoctrinated. Look at her. She's in some kind of a closet. Not even out there in the classroom talking. Hey, she's in the closet like a mop over her head there. Hey, let me just tell you what's going on here. Here's what really bothers me. The teachers' unions are part of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is like, sorry to say, the ideologues in the party are like a cult. And the more that they drink the Kool-Aid of ICE is bad, Trump is an evil dictator, this is what gets Charlie Kirk killed. This is what creates security problems. When you take young people and brainwash them that Christians or Republicans or conservatives are fascists, evil, and you give them credit, or worse yet, you take them out of the school and have them protesting and marching around the school in solidarity, like you saw in Wisconsin going on, with the anti-ICE protests recently. This teachers' unions ought to be labeled. They should be union busted and reorganized because of ideological poison. If they're going to become the vehicle of a political apparatus, I think that they're not functioning anymore as an economic bargaining unit. They're functioning as a government-funded politicization of students. And I think Trump passed a law or somehow succeeded in saying that you don't have to be a member of the teachers' union. There ought to be some way teachers can organize and mobilize and have their representation without having to be part of the left-wing extremist. And I think the problem is, let me go back just in a stream of consciousness here. I think it's because the women primarily, they're guys. I mean, there are guys too. Primarily, I think the teaching profession for middle school and for younger is dominated by the schools have female students. If you want to know where the problem is, it's the colleges that are preparing the graduates to become teachers. So those schools that are preparing the employment opportunity for the school system, it's those liberal ideology universities that are at an early age grabbing hold of the female population, which is like, you'll notice that the demographic for the left is going to be between 18 and 30 or something, and the female demographic is like skews 65% to the left. Anyway, the teachers' unions and the schools that the women are coming out of are indoctrination factories, and somebody needs to look at that, because I'm telling you, it's bad enough we got the colleges. 90% of the faculty are left-wing, propagandizing your kids when you send them off to school. Now they're going after them from drag queen hour down to the classroom here, 8th graders getting indoctrinated, extra credit. And it's just one story exposed. How much of this is going on? But the teachers, if they're left-wing, what do you expect? They're going to ooze out their political ideology upon those impressionable kids. Anyway, I want you to see that so you could experience with me the outrage of the week, which is what's going on with this ICE training, with this ICE attack in the schools. But interestingly enough, the Disney had on a positive note. I had some friends of mine that would go down. They said they were so shocked. They went to Disney. Oh my gosh, Lance! They said, you won't believe it. You got to be careful when you go with your kids. I brought my children with me, and it was gay day at Disney. I said, what? Yes, Disney has gay days where it's like pushing it for the LGBTQ community. They said guys are making out and right in front of my kids over here. It was like, oh, I never should have gone. And I thought, who knew that they have whole days dedicated to it? Well, you maybe didn't know, but it doesn't matter, because Disney Gay Days is officially canceled its 35th anniversary this week due to a lack of sponsors. And that's got to be a positive sign for those of you that are trying to normalize the sexual climate around you and around your kids. And so Gay Days is officially canceled, at least the 35th anniversary. And I notice Anderson Cooper is exiting 60 Minutes as a correspondent. Now, I don't know why that's news. I mean, so Anderson Cooper is exiting. Well, it is. It's for somebody, it's news.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
All right, I got something I want to talk to you about for a second here. And, you know, I don't want to lose this. It has to do with the SAVE Act. That's what it's called. The SAVE Act, or the Save USA or Save America Act. Now, some of you guys and gals already know what's going on here. The act itself, the law, would make it necessary for people to show their ID, passport, birth certificate, driver's license, etc. If they're going to vote, they have to prove that they're actually an American citizen. Okay? This should be a no-brainer. This should be like, we're going to pass a law that you shouldn't steal money from the government. Even if you had that, half the Democrats would go, I don't know, that may tread upon states' rights or something. So it's 80% of Americans are saying, yeah, duh, I think you ought to be an American citizen to vote in an American election. Here's the problem. It literally came down to they couldn't get the Senate to agree on it. However, in a breakthrough moment, Susan Collins from Maine, who is up for election right now, probably because she's up for election, she's hearing from the Republicans, you better stand with this, because McConnell is a nut job. I don't know what the deal is with him. What's the matter with him? I just think he's recalcitrant. I just think he's against everything. And he wouldn't even knows what condition he's in. I think they're wheeling him around now. But he's leaving office. And Rand Paul is always odd. He's like that odd duck, you know? Sometimes you like what he's saying, and sometimes just weird. Like his whole thing is, well, the states ought to have the right. Unless the state's so corrupt, like California, Washington State, and Oregon, they're never going to have voter ID. They like illegal votes. Well, it's the state's rights. Anyway, she provided the necessary 50. So now with J.D. Vance as the tiebreaker, we've got 51 votes. It can be secured. Now, evidently, there's some kind of a technicality I can never quite understand regarding the filibuster, the right of delaying this or interrupting this with people doing speeches, or a paper like a sleeping filibuster, whatever the heck that is. I don't know what that is. But anyway, they're moving towards what's called the zombie filibuster, which is restoring an old school standing filibuster to advance the Save America Act legislation. Here's my point. The SAVE Act looks like, with J.D. Vance and now this Murkowski, I don't know what's wrong with her out there in Alaska. Man, can't we ever get a decent senator in Alaska? What happened? But it looks like we're going to be able to do this with Susan Collins. But here's my point. Have you ever thought that you might be over-celebrating what happens when this gets through? I mean, it's nice. It's nice that we're going to get you ought to be an American citizen to vote. But how many illegals do you think we're actually risking exposure by going down to, like I live out here in Keller, Texas? How many people that, snuck in here over the border, dodging ICE, are going, I think I'm going to vote for the Democrat? I don't think so. I don't think there's that many. I don't think that they're showing up at these voting places. So just to clarify something, I don't know that you're really going to save an election cycle by discouraging people that are hiding out from coming public and voting. I don't think they're out voting. However, the thing the SAVE Act is really trying to do that it isn't doing is cleaning up the voter rolls. You see, because if you have illegals on the voter, so for instance, if they do get like the way the Democrats set it up, it's kind of crazy. It's not complicated once you understand it. You go and you get at the Department of Motor Vehicles or something. If you can get a driver's license, you automatically have ability like to vote, even though you're not a citizen. But somehow I don't even know how you got the driver's license without being proven you're a citizen. It's always a mystery to me how these truck drivers having accidents, you find out they're illegal. So how the heck did they ever get hired by the company to drive a truck? But then you find out that they can, if you're going to get benefits from the government, for food or something like that, then automatically you somehow are given some number or identification that even though you're illegal, allows you to pose as getting the benefits of a citizen. You understand how that works? I don't, but it works. My point is this. The Democrats know how to game the system so that they go into the fictitious voter rolls, meaning we got people on the voter rolls that aren't authorized Americans that can't vote. But it doesn't matter if they show up and vote. What matters is they're in a database. Now, particularly with the Dominion and the other software and the machinery, someone can access their name even though they are not voting, and they could go over there and harvest those names, lump them together and present them as ballots or voters. In other words, the fake votes that come in aren't from the person casting the vote. They're from the voter rolls that are corrupted with non-citizens who have ID, and unless we purge the voter rolls so that they don't exist on the database, they become manipulated data points for the ability of machine tabulation, or, for instance, ballots that could be fictionally filled out on behalf of those people. And as long as they're in the voter, until we clean up the voter rolls, there are fake votes lying there that can be gamed in through digitally or gamed through by manual ballot processes. And now we're talking about in an election, presidential election, or in a state election where thousands or 100,000 or 50,000 or 20,000 or 18,000 or 13,000 votes makes the difference in a state for which state goes for who. That's all you got to do. Fulton County alone, we're never going to get to the bottom of that thing until they just seized 7 tons of, paper ballots because they got 300,000 questionable votes in Fulton County alone. Maricopa, you could do a Google search. What are the top 5 fraudulent counties in America? They'll tell you where they are, and they're all Democrat strongholds. So the SAFE Act, Save America Act, is good for the person going in and voting. It doesn't really work. The 2 things the Democrats are doing now is they got those citizens that are not citizens on the voter rolls, and they will manipulate the data, tapping into them. They don't have to show up and vote. They'll just use their name, address, and vote for them. The second thing is you're watching these states like California where they're redistricting. And so here's a weird thing, what they're doing is they're redistricting, so they're multiplying. They're doing it in Virginia right now. They want to do it. Like California, the Democrats are saying, hey, let's just subdivide. So we're going to create 5 new districts, and that way they get new congressional representation. They get more votes out there. The one thing that's going to happen, that's coming up, that's going to stop that, is a Supreme Court case. The Supreme Court is deciding a case as to whether or not it's lawful to create districts based upon race representation. Here's an interesting phenomenon. So if you have a black community or a Hispanic community, can you actually just create a district out of ethnic representation? Supreme Court is going to say no. However, that actually is going to do something. By pushing that case to the Supreme Court, The Supreme Court is likely to come back and say, no, you can't just arbitrarily create districts based upon color, ethnicity, or anything else, because that's not a representative definition of how districts are designed. And what that will do is that will allow for, get this, Governor DeSantis to look at Florida and say, you know, we've experienced a phenomenal amount of growth. People leaving these blue states to come down here. We've got a couple of million more people than the last census. I don't have to wait to the next census in 2030. I'm going to right now, based upon the most recent ruling of the Supreme Court, I'm going to be redrawing up a fair representation of our counties based upon our population, and we're going to be applying the latest Supreme Court ruling to make sure that we're compliant. And Florida could come up with about another 4 or 5 seats. Wouldn't that be a nice shot back to Gavin Newsom, who created? See, you know, look at Florida. Florida. I mean, look at California. California has 60-40, 60% Democrat, 40% Republican. What did Newsom do? He said, I'm going to redesign the whole state using my leverage right now with Democrats in the legislature, and we're going to make it 80-20. We're not going to give you 40% representation nationally. We're going to squeeze you down to 20%. Now, that should not be possible, but technically you can get away with it when you control the legislative assembly, as the Democrats do. Well, two could play at that game, and so basically DeSantis says, I think we're going to be able to redefine our districts. California, we actually have more growth than you. And so I'm just saying the other way in which the game is played with is districting and how you organize and define the districts to get your votes, what your representation is. Plus, if you don't have clean voter rolls, it doesn't matter if you got a SAFE Act. People that are actually I'm most worried about aren't the ones walking in saying, hello, I'm illegal, but I got a fake ID. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the ones who are playing the election game, tapping into that person in the voter roll. All right, I made my case. I'm going to go over for like 2 minutes because there's a big thing going on now that nobody's talking about. You saw the Trump, supposed Trump racist video thing. People don't understand how Trump is. You go into his office. You go to his New York office, and you're going to see Don King, Mike Tyson, Dennis Rodman, Jesse Jackson, Oprah Winfrey. You see all the African-American celebrities, athletes, and politicians who love Donald Trump, because Donald Trump was a big supporter of everything that they were doing, particularly a lot of their work in New York. Jesse Jackson just died today, but I want you to hear what this clearly black civil rights activist had to say about his friend Donald Trump, who got behind him and helped support him in his efforts in New York to create a presence even at the stock exchange where there was minority representation for business. Trump was behind him. Trump was, savvy politically because he wanted to be with everybody. He was a builder, but also in the fight profession. He underwrote Mike Tyson. He helped Mike Tyson get back on his feet when he came out of prison. He helped Dennis Rodman rehabilitate himself when Dennis was having trouble. Trump ain't no racist, but if he doesn't like you, there's no insult he will not sling at you. But it has nothing to do with racism. It has to do with whether he likes you or not. But I want you to hear Jesse Jackson give a revealing statement here as he's introducing Donald Trump for one of his rallies.
Bring forth a friend who has, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness and his commitment for their success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. and many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid, he came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who is an effective builder of building with a builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump.
They only started playing the he's a racist card against him when he decided to run for president. But that ain't the truth behind the scenes, and everybody knows it, except for the media, and the average person out there on the street doesn't know it. So I wanted you to hear that because I understand Donald Trump has got himself in big trouble recently over supposedly posting what was a Lion King, what all the Democrats had different animals. They were featured from hyenas to monkeys to the parakeets to everything else, and he had Nancy Pelosi in there and all. And so anyway, somebody had put it together. But what wasn't understood was that apparently that whole video thing was an algorithmic attachment to the safe voting election integrity 1-minute commercial. What Trump did was he posted. So here's what I did a little research on it. The question is, did Trump actually post a video depicting Obamas as monkeys? If so, that would have been politically foolish, the writer says. So I found the original video online and watched it for myself. Here's what I saw. Actually, it's a serious video about election integrity, a topic Trump has been talking about ever since 2020. And it wasn't a cartoon. It wasn't a troll video, even making fun of people. It was a 1-minute long video on election integrity. Since Trump prefers to post on Truth Social, any video posted there has to first be recorded from the original source and then reposted. When the original video was ending, the algorithm automatically loaded another video, which was an AI cartoon with The Lion Sleeps Tonight. So the Obama video had nothing to do with the original video that was posted by Trump. It was an add-on video that was selected algorithmically. And so whoever did the screen recording didn't edit that part out. They just posted it, unedited. So the most plausible explanation by far is that it was the second video added to the first by error, but not an intentional act. But it doesn't matter because the moment they saw it, they took it down. But the weak Christian community is always in its, hyper frenzy to prove that it's moral and superior. So rather than checking out to see, well, was that actually posted on purpose? Was that posted as an addition? Or did he post it? Or how was that posted? Didn't matter. So you got guys like Russell Moore, who is always a turd in the punch bowl of life. He posted a screenshot of the worst part of this, and then he writes, it's racist, it's deranged. The fact that we decided to pretend this is normal is a moral abomination. And so Russell Moore, who was always promoting, by the way, he was on, Soros was helping to pay Christianity Today, was giving him money for that when he was editing it. And his editing was always weird. It was always like, pro-Muslim and pro-BLM. I could never understand why Christianity Today, which was supposed to be Christianity Today, was getting locked into these left-wing causes. And I realized Russell Moore was the editor. John Piper, another of the staple of evangelical leadership, otherwise called, Big Eva, they call it, Big Evangelicals. It's a business. He reposted Moore's post, but out of the commentary, one not be so afraid of sounding quasi-woke that you can't agree with Russell Moore. So Piper approved of Russell Moore's assessment that Trump is deranged racist. There's something interesting about this. John Piper is a father in the faith to many and is considered a reasonable, valuable voice on a number of subjects. A few weeks ago, However, when a worship service at the city's church in Minneapolis was invaded by a horde of disruptive agitators, John Piper said nothing, even though the city church was planted by Piper's own church. How's that? If anything would merit Piper's unique comment and wisdom, it would be breaking into his own church. But he was silent on that, but he couldn't wait to pile on against Trump. And he doesn't know any comment unless he chooses to give it, but it's worth noting that what does not prompt public comment from Piper is a hostile invasion of his own church. But he will come against Trump for what he perceives to be a bad video. So the third example, and this one's from Mike Cosper from Christianity Today, who posted, let's be very clear, Donald Trump took out a full-page ad calling for the summary execution of the Central Park Five, who was the chief profligate of the Obama birth certificate conspiracy theory, who made these, blank hole, counties comments in his first room. So anyway, Cosper is certain Trump is trying to be racist, and though in doing so, there's nothing to gain, everything to lose. My point is, whether it's Moore or Piper or Cosper, I'm reading from a guy's rebuttal here. The facts clearly point to the video debacle being an editor error and not an act of intentionality. But truth doesn't matter, because what matters is ensuring the whole world knows that you are an upright, moral Pharisee and you denounce it. So the real danger is that Christians forsake truth by finding peer pressure to jump on the bandwagon of demonstrating their moral outrage. And I think it's an act of cowardice, because until you find out the facts, you should be beating up on Trump. And that's basically how propaganda works. So I'm reading this out of a Substack that Rod Martin had posted, if anybody want to read it. And it's called Christians, You Got Played Again. It happens on Trump, meme videos, and emotional manipulation. It happens all the time. But I think it was worth talking about for a minute, because I know nobody wants to talk about it. But so I think that Trump is racially tone deaf, but not a racist. He does stuff without thinking about it, because he actually isn't racist. He is if he has any kind of a bias, if you're Tiger Woods, if you're a success making money or the best at what you do, Trump, he doesn't even have a color filter. He just loves success. But if you're an enemy, he has no restraint on whatever you are. He'll come after you, and that's a strength, I suppose. In his world, it's a weakness, as I would say, going into the midterms, because this is what you call unforced errors. You don't need to be making these mistakes. But, any strength overextended is a weakness. Trump is so hyper-competitive, he really doesn't care about stuff. But that becomes a vulnerability during an election cycle. So I want to take a couple of minutes to address it, because I haven't been following that story, but a lot of you probably have, and I wanted you to hear my thoughts on it and then do a little research as to what exactly took place. All right, I told you, this Level 10 liquid, Level Up Your Nutrition, your body needs certain nutrients in it to keep it strong, and because the food is not delivering what it used to. I remember talking to Jordan Rubin for so many years on these shows about how the soil has been so depleted. We don't even have the original soil that was so nutrient rich at one time. But I got a hold of a friend of mine to put a formula together with antioxidants, phytonutrients, phytochemicals, and power food supplements that I shake it up, and every day I put it in my glass. And here's the thing, I drink more water with it, and I feel the difference. Level10liquid.com. Just your body craves it. Once you get it, you love it, and you feel the energy right away. Well, we're going to see you again tomorrow, because I promise you, every day in every way, God is advancing his kingdom, and he's advancing his kingdom people, and I pray that you take time with the Word of God. Take time with the Bible. Take time today to get before the Word, because God builds into you a special place of power and perception and strength and peace when you build with the Word of God on the inside of you. Jesus said in John 16, I have much more to say to you, more than you can bear now, but when the Spirit of truth comes, he's going to guide you into all truth. God has more to tell you. Let the Spirit of truth speak to you today. We'll see you again tomorrow. God bless.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.